What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to do a different kind of video. So I'm not going to be talking about any specific stock. Rather, I'm actually going to be covering a recent research report that Ark Invest put out called Big Ideas for 2021. Now, the purpose of this report is really to talk about some disruptive technologies and really what they see as the biggest growing industries over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, they do cover a lot in this research report and a lot of different topics. But for this video, I'm only going to be talking about 3 of the topics that I feel I could give the most value on. Now, the reason for that is because, one, I didn't want to make a 45-minute video, but more importantly, there's a lot of industries that they talk about, like genomics and gene therapy, that I really honestly don't have a lot of knowledge in. And to be honest, I don't want to bullshit you guys and talk about something that I know nothing about, and you guys are going to pick up on that as well. So I don't want to be that guy that's just rambling on, trying to sound smart when really I have no clue what I'm talking about, because that's not fair to you guys and your time. So I hope you guys appreciate that. Now, a lot of time did go into doing the research and putting this video together and going through the report, since it is well over 100 pages. So if you guys appreciate all that, all I ask is that you drop a like for the video, because it really helps for the algorithm. Now, I will have timestamps down in the pinned comment, so be sure to check that out. And with that, let's get into it. Now, before we get into the report, I think this is a very important slide to cover, because whenever you're investing in disruptive technology, you must understand the risks, which mainly come in 2 forms. You have the industry-related risk, which could be the rapid pace of innovation and being able to stay up to date with the latest technology. And then you also have risks related to regulation hurdles and the competitive landscape. So make sure before you invest in any disruptive company that you are doing the full due diligence needed on them, because it is definitely more risky than investing in blue chip companies. Now remember, these are long-term mega trends that are really going to take at least 5 years and maybe even some 10 years to fully develop and become a viable marketplace. So just keep that in mind as I'm going through this, and if you ever think of any disruptive stocks, because these are not short-term stocks, you're not going to be day trading these are investments for the long term. So I just had to get that out there. Now let's get into the first topic. Now, the first topic I had to talk about is the virtual world segment. And I'm actually really glad that Ark had this in their research report, because it kind of validates my reasoning for being so bullish on companies like Unity and augmented reality with Nextech AR. Now, throughout this video, you're going to see that I mentioned some stocks I've already talked about on the channel that fit these categories. So if you ever want to visit those videos, I'll link them up above up here, so you can go ahead and check that out if you want. Now, getting into this segment, one of the reasons I'm so bullish on companies like Unity and Nextech is because Unity is at the foundation of building virtual and augmented experiences, while Nextech has the first mover advantage as a pure augmented reality play. And like they mention here, society interacts on a daily basis with virtual worlds, which today are still in their infancy, meaning essentially that we have not yet seen mass adoption of this technology. But I do promise you that this technology is not that far away, and we're a lot closer than you may think. Now, according to their research, revenue from virtual world will compound 17% annually, from roughly $180 billion today to more than $390 billion by 2025. And if you need further evidence of this, just look at Nextech. They're growing revenues by hundreds of percent, and actually guided for 2021 revenue growth of 150% on the low end and up to 200% on the high end. Not to mention that they could be sandbagging their numbers and may even beat those estimates. Now, I'm going to give some of my Unity and Nextech AR fans a little treat and some reassurance that their money is in a growing market. So first, I'm going to cover Unity and sort of the gaming industry. Then we'll get into Nextech and the augmented reality industry, because Ark does talk about both of them. So Unity is a great play on gaming, because they actually are the foundation that developers use to create the immersive environments you experience in games. Now, in my last video, I talked about why I also believe Turtle Beach could be a turnaround play over the next 1 to 2 years, mainly because of how fast the gaming industry is growing. So according to Ark's research and projections, global virtual gaming revenue could increase from $130 billion in 2020 to to almost $350 billion by 2025, with the average time spent playing video games increasing by almost 50% over that same time span. Now, Ark is making the assumption that monetization and time spent playing grow together, which at their base case still brings global gaming revenue to nearly $250 billion. So clearly this will be a massive industry that someone like Unity will be a dominant player in. If we move over to augmented reality, companies like Snapchat, Facebook, and Apple are all really paving the way to wide-scale user adoption of this technology, and things haven't even really started to take off yet. I'm gonna assume by now that most of you, if not all of you, have used Snapchat before, and some of their augmented reality features, even if you may have not known that that was augmented reality. So anytime that you've put like cat ears on your face, or maybe, distorted the image around you, or back in the day when they first rolled these features out, and you could like stick your tongue out and rainbows would come out, that's all augmented reality. And a lot of people don't even realize it. So it's already in our everyday lives, and it's only going to be integrated more as companies like Apple release their AR glasses. So like I mentioned, we're now at a point in the advancement of this technology where companies like Facebook and Apple are working to develop glasses that have augmented reality features integrated into them. Ark is estimating that by 2022, consumer-grade AR headsets will be in the market, and they will be turbocharging this trend. In my opinion, this will be the moment that augmented reality really goes parabolic. They believe that the global AR market could scale from $1 billion to $130 billion over the next 10 years. And that's just the consumer-based software. Nextech is going after B2B solutions, which is only going to benefit from this wide-scale user adoption, thus leaving them with a much, much larger total addressable market. So to recap, Ark believes the global gaming market is going to grow at a 16% CAGR, or compounded annual growth rate, to nearly $350 billion, while the global AR and VR market will grow at a ridiculous 59% CAGR over the next 5 years. So like I said, Unity's at the forefront of gaming and design that's going to utilize both of these technologies, while Nextech has the first mover advantage in virtual reality conferences and also augmented reality experiences. Now that probably explains why Ark actually has Unity in their Ark Innovation ETF, and why I'm also all in on Nextech AR. So with that, let's get into the next segment, which is also one that I have talked about recently. So I wanted to talk about digital wallets because I actually believe this is an industry that is completely disrupting the financial sector and traditional banks. Now, in one of my recent videos, I talked about a company called Humble, and they trade under the ticker symbol TSNP, but they're a digital wallet that's focusing in emerging markets that are pretty underserved by the traditional giants like PayPal, Square, Venmo. And again, if you want more information on that company, I'll be sure to link a video up here so you can go ahead and check that out, because I do go really in depth on the entire business model. Now, according to Ark, digital wallets today are currently valued between $250 and $1,900 per user, but could scale to as much as $20,000, creating a $4.6 trillion opportunity in the United States alone by 2025. Now, real quick, one reason I like Humble is because they're targeting the 7.8 billion people being left out from the companies like Venmo, PayPal, and Apple Pay. So their opportunity, in theory, could be much, much larger than the $4 trillion here in the United States. Now, getting back to Ark's research, one of the main points that I like from this, and it's really one of the reasons everyone likes online-based companies, is their ability to expand and acquire new customers much faster and cheaper than traditional brick-and-mortar businesses. For example, Cash App and Venmo both reached 60 million active users throughout the last 10 years through mainly organic growth. This is a milestone that took JP Morgan more than 30 years and several acquisitions to achieve. You can clearly see from the chart that the growth for these two companies has pretty much gone parabolic over the last 6 years, and this isn't going to be slowing down anytime soon. Now, one of the factors feeding this explosive growth is the cost of user acquisition. For digital wallets, this is about $20 a user, but as you can see, the customer acquisition costs across other financial products can vary anywhere from $250 up to $1,500 per user. Now, from a revenue standpoint, there's a lot of money to be had in unsecured loans. Interest income for banks fell by 10% in 2020, and it's expected to fall another 25% by 2025, going from $130 billion to just $95 billion. Now, that interest income isn't just disappearing into thin air. Ark's expecting that digital lenders like Square, Square and PayPal will slowly be gaining market share and stealing that revenue from traditional banks. Now, according to Ark, there will be 230 million estimated digital wallets in the United States by 2025, with each of these users having the potential to be worth $20,000, which means the opportunity here is worth potentially, like I said, $4.6 trillion. This is really pennies compared to where Venmo and Cash App are currently valued, which is $250 to $700 per user respectively. Now, if you think the overall market size of $4.6 trillion is insane and unrealistic, then let's look at how digital wallets compare to one of the largest countries, China. The volume of mobile payments has exploded from $2 trillion in 2015 to an estimated $36 trillion in 2020, which is more than triple the size of China's GDP. So a $4.6 trillion opportunity is definitely not far-fetched. Now to recap, digital wallets are on the rise, and I truly do believe that they're here to stay. You know, traditional banking just isn't going to cut it anymore because they're really built on the foundation of an industry that's over 100 years old. And you have all these new fintech companies like Square, PayPal, Humble that are really disrupting how finance is done. And this is truly a multi-trillion dollar opportunity. So this is a sector that I will be watching closely, and I do already have exposure through my Humble investment, so I'll definitely be keeping you guys up to date on that company at least, and maybe we'll get into some of these other companies in a future video. So now let's get into the last sector, and really why this is one that I think not a lot of people are talking about, and it's one that could go under the radar. Now, drones probably aren't an industry disruptor that would first come to mind, but as we go through this segment, you're gonna see just how big the total addressable market is for this technology. Ark believes that in the not too distant future, drones will deliver packages, food, and even people quicker than ever before. By 2030, they're estimating that drone delivery platforms will generate $275 billion in delivery revenue, $50 billion in hardware sales, and $12 billion in mapping revenue. Combine all this and you have a total revenue opportunity of $340 billion over the next decade. Battery technology is improving enough so that flight energy reserves can still meet regulations, enabling air taxis and air ambulances to take to the skies safely. In addition to this, machine learning improvements have enabled autonomous flight, reducing costs dramatically. So you can clearly see that since 2015, the batteries used for passenger drones has only gotten exponentially better, with the technology in them now accommodating 12-mile flights, including the necessary reserves to meet regulation. Combine this with the incredible advancements we've seen in autonomous technology, and you now have a realistic future where this becomes a real thing. Autonomous flying is a key part of this wide-scale adoption because the cost of a 10-mile drone delivery using a remote pilot is currently about $7.80. The cost of an autonomous delivery looking out 5 to 10 years is about 97% cheaper at only 25 cents. On this chart, they go even a step further to show just how much money can be saved by using drones. Something like a bridge inspection not only takes a quarter of the time when compared to a human, but also gives you 80% cost savings. Look at package deliveries, for example. Yes, it costs about the same, but the time it takes is cut in half, which means delivery output can potentially double, which means more potential revenue. Then you also have the theoretical drone transportation market, which could cost slightly more than using a car, but we're talking about more than a 50% reduction in time spent traveling. And if you think the drone transportation market is still 20 years away, then let me bring your attention to the left side of the page. The FAA has kickstarted the commercial drone industry by allowing companies to operate drones beyond line of sight and, in some cases, to operate drone airlines. Florida is actually building the first U.S. passenger drone vertiport with plans to begin operation in 2025. So we're a lot closer than you may think. Now, the next area that could be disrupted is the food delivery industry. In 2020, online food delivery sales grew by more than 40% thanks to the Rona, and Ark believes drone deliveries will account for roughly 40% of this market. They're projecting that by 2030, global food delivery revenue will reach $116 billion, which means this is a market that could be worth anywhere up to $45 billion. So to recap, drones are the future of transportation outside of autonomous vehicles, which we already know that's coming thanks to Tesla, but a lot of people don't see the potential opportunity that drones present. To be honest, I'm one of those people. I never even thought to look into this industry until reading this report, but it makes makes a lot of sense. So this is definitely an industry that I will be watching. And if you guys want me to cover some more stocks from the topics that Ark covers in this research report, then let me know down in the comments. And I will be more than happy to start researching some of this disruptive technology, because there's a lot of value to be had in this, especially if you're looking for a true long-term investment. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't go in depth on all of the topics that they talk about because, to be honest, I would just be bullshitting if I talked about it, and I don't want to waste your time like that. I feel like that's not really a valuable use of your time. But if you guys want me to try my best and give it my best shot at talking about any of them, let me know down in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to try my hardest. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel because it really helps, and we are also so close to 1,000 subscribers. So thank you to all you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.